Judy Buenoano, or Judy Welty, or Judy Goodyear, or Judy Morris was an incredibly selfish woman. All of the men in her life served a direct purpose, to benefit her in every way possible. She only wanted what she could get out of these relationships. When she met John Gentry in 1981, she enjoyed the high life they lived together, but unbeknownst to him, she had taken out a $500,000 life insurance policy on him. In 1983, she decided it was time to collect. After leaving the salon that Judy owned, John got into his car and turned the ignition. As he turned the headlights on, the car exploded into a huge fireball, literally blasting him out of his shoes. Unfortunately for Judy, John would ultimately survive, uncovering a long history of deception, greed, and murder. Welcome to History's Biggest Villains. Judias Welty was born in Quanah, Texas on April 4th, 1943. She was the third of 4 siblings. Her mother died of tuberculosis when she was 2 years old, and she was sent to live with her younger brother Robert at their grandparents' house. After their father remarried, they moved back with him in Roswell, New Mexico. This time was with his new wife and 2 other children. Buenoano was abused by her father and stepmother, who starved her and forced her to work as a slave. She would be forced to clean the entire house, and if it wasn't done to her parents' liking, they would make her sit and watch the rest of the family eat. When she was 14, she spent 2 months in prison for attacking her father and stepmother as she was defending her brother Robert from their abuse. Upon being released, she chose to attend reform school where she graduated in 1960. Upon expressing the hate she had for her father, she said, "I wouldn't spit down his throat if his guts were on fire." Judy moved back to Roswell where she studied to become a nursing assistant. There, she met a man and changed her name to Anna Schultz. She would eventually earn a PhD in biology and psychology. At the age of 17, she gave birth to her first son, Michael Schultz. However, during a time when having children out of wedlock was looked down upon, times were hard for her. Shortly after Michael was born, she met James Goodyear, a mechanic in the United States Air Force. They eventually got married, with Anna changing her name again to Judy Goodyear. On January 16, 1966, the couple had their first son, James Goodyear Jr. The marriage was going pretty well as their daughter Kimberly was born in 1967. During this time, Judy had took out substantial life insurance policies on everyone in the family. When James Sr. was eventually deployed to Vietnam, Judy was now raising 3 children on her own. James came back after a year at Vietnam and they tried to resume things in the marriage. Later on, when she describes her relationship with James, she describes them as best friends. Jesus Christ. Around 1971, she decided that James Sr. had to die. So she carefully executed a plan to poison him over a long period of time. Over a period of months, she crushes up pills of paraformaldehyde, putting them in his food in order to damage his immune system. James would become violently ill, suffering from convulsions and hallucinations. He died on September 17, 1971 at the age of 37. Judy blamed his death on exposure to certain dangerous chemicals during his time in Vietnam. Only 5 days after her husband died, she cashed in on 3 life insurance policies she had on him. She also set her own house on fire to collect insurance payments as well. In July 1972, Judy and her 3 children moved to Pensacola, Florida to live with her new boyfriend, Bobby Joe Morris. Apparently, they had been seeing each other before she even killed her first husband. In the beginning, the relationship was going well. They were having fun together, traveling, and just enjoying each other's company. But soon the relationship became rocky, and Bobby Joe wanted to break up. So he moved to California, leaving her and the children in Florida. However, Judy followed him to Colorado and convinced him to get back with her. They tried for a second time to repair the relationship. In July 1977, right before Judy and her children were set to move to Colorado, she set their Pensacola home on fire and claimed the insurance money. While in Colorado, she changed her name for the 4th time, becoming Judy Morris. But unbeknownst to Bobby Joe, Judy had again taken out numerous life insurance policies on him. Eventually, Bobby Joe would get sick. As he was an alcoholic, nobody would raise an eyebrow if his health suddenly declined. He would end up in the same hospital where Judy was working as a nurse's aide, where she would take care of him. At the hospital, the doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with him. To cover her tracks, Judy told everyone how much of an alcoholic Bobby was. He eventually died in January of 1978. His mother wanted him to come back home to Alabama to be buried, but Judy refused, instead insisting on cremation for obvious reasons. But Bobby Joe's mother didn't accept that, and he was sent home to Alabama. Judy didn't attend the funeral because she was too busy collecting on the multiple life insurance policies she had on Bobby Joe. On May 3rd, she changed her name to Judy Buenoano, the broken Spanish translation of her first husband's last name. The audacity. In June 1978, the Buenoano family moved back to Pensacola, where Judy bought a house for her and her children. Michael, who was around 17 at this time, loved his mother dearly, but Judy felt completely different. She never really cared for her first son because he was illegitimate. She felt ashamed about Michael, going as far as hiding him in his room when people came over the house. In 1979, at 18 years old, Michael joined the U.S. Army. He studied at the water purification school, where they used arsenic in small amounts to purify the water. When Michael came home for Thanksgiving, he became very sick. He was sent to Walter Reed Hospital in the nation's capital, where he recovered. But unfortunately, he was now a paraplegic with no control of his arms or legs. Of course, Judy blamed the Army for this, as he had somehow ingested some arsenic while at the school. Because of his medical condition, he wasn't able to return to the military, and this caused him a great deal of depression. Judy called the military and asked them to honorably discharge him, leaving him in her care. Michael had multiple braces on his legs and arms, and even used canes as a way to improve his mobility. After the Army agreed with Judy's request, she picked up her son and drove back to their Pensacola home. Later that same afternoon, on May 13th, 1980, the family went on a canoe trip. Judy left Kimberly to fish on the shore, while her, James Jr., and Michael got in the canoe. Judy fitted Michael with all of his braces, which weighed about 50 pounds, and sat him in a lawn chair inside of the canoe. As they got out into the middle of the lake, the canoe suddenly tipped over, causing all three occupants to fall in. Judy rushed over to grab James, but later said she didn't have enough time to try and grab Michael. So Michael, a paraplegic with 50 pounds of braces secured to his body, drowned in the lake. As he was in the military, they investigated his death. Judy told them that a snake had fallen into the canoe from a tree, and that the reactions from the family caused the canoe to capsize. The Army ruled this as an accident, and Judy had gotten away with 3 murders up to this point. Jesus Christ, your own son. Not long after the murder of her own son, Judy collected on his life insurance policy. In total, Judy had taken out 6 life insurance policies on her son, and this didn't include the insurance that the military provided. She received about $120,000 in life insurance benefits after her son's death. Classic. Judy spent the earnings from her murders on vacations and cars and trips. She even opened up a beauty salon called Fingers and Faces. 9 months after Michael's death, she met 35-year-old Army veteran John Gentry. He had 2 sons from a previous marriage. John owned a carpet and flooring business in Pensacola. While in Vietnam, he stepped on a landmine, losing hearing in one of his ears. Judy was accustomed to living the high life at this point, so her and John went on cruises and ate at 5-star restaurants. John would buy her expensive clothes frequently. In August 1981, John moved into the Buenoano house with his 2 children. Life seemed to go pretty well in the household, apart from the fact that Judy had started spreading rumors about John being involved in the mafia and that he had bad health. Well, John actually did have bad health because Judy was actively poisoning him, slipping arsenic into his food and drinks. He became suspicious after Judy took out a life insurance policy on him, but she told him she had canceled the policy, but she really didn't. After almost 2 years together, Judy told John that she was pregnant. However, she didn't tell him that she had her tubes tied years ago and couldn't get pregnant. This was in essence a trap to get him to marry her. On June 25th, 1983, Judy had arranged a party for one of her employees at the salon. She wanted John to help her with the setup, even telling him where to park his car. As the party ended, she asked John to leave on his own. She said she was going to stay a little bit longer at the party, while instructing him to get a bottle of champagne and wait for her at the house. John walked to his car and put the keys in the ignition. As he flipped the switch to turn the headlights on, the car exploded, launching him out of the vehicle. Judy ran out of the salon, throwing a fit and pretending to have a seizure. In her plan to kill John, she made a huge mistake. John survived the car bomb. All of Judy's lies were about to be exposed. But Judy tried to save herself, telling the police that John had been getting threatening notes that were left on his windshield. He was apparently getting threatening phone calls as well. But when the police followed up on these, they turned out to be made up. In the end, her greed became her downfall, as nobody up to this point had connected the dots and suspected her in the deaths of James Goodyear Sr., Bobby Joe Morris, and Michael Buenoano. All of these deaths were thought to be accidents, but now that a bomb was involved and the intended victim had survived, giving the police crucial information about the pills Judy had given him, she was now under police radar. John said that Judy had given him vitamin pills and instructed him to take these daily, but after he stopped taking the pills, his health improved. But then he took them again and the symptoms came back. He gave the pills to the police to be tested. The test revealed that the pills were taken apart, filled with arsenic and paraformaldehyde, and put back together in a bottle. After they discovered this, they issued a warrant for Judy's arrest. John was then told that Judy had a $500,000 life insurance policy on him after she told him that she had canceled it. She had already booked a 6-month cruise around the world for her and her 2 children. The detectives exhumed the bodies of the 3 men associated with her. When James Goodyear's body was exhumed, there was enough arsenic in his body to kill 15 people. When Bobby Joe Morris's body was exhumed, he had enough arsenic in his body to kill 10 people. When Michael Buenoano's body was exhumed, there was also a lethal amount of arsenic in his body, and they even determined that arsenic was what crippled him in the first place. On July 27, 1983, Judy Buenoano was arrested and charged with the attempted murder of John Gentry. After getting out on bail, she was arrested again in January 1984 for grand theft and the murder of her son, Michael. Judy claimed to be innocent of all the charges, but the jury thought otherwise, finding her guilty on all counts. She was sentenced to life without parole. On October 18, 1984, she was officially charged with the attempted murder of John Gentry and given an additional 12 years in prison. Judy then went to trial for a 3rd time for the first-degree murder of her first husband, James Goodyear. On November 26, 1985, she was found guilty and sentenced to death. Police decided that they didn't need to pursue another trial for the death of Bobby Joe Morris because Judy was already on death row. On March 30th, 1998, Judy Buenoano was executed by the electric chair in Florida State Prison. Her last meal was broccoli, asparagus, strawberries, and tea. When asked if she had any last words, Buenoano said, "No, sir." Her body was cremated after her execution. She was 54 years old. Buenoano was the first woman to be executed in Florida since 1848 or electrocuted in the United States since 1976. That is the story of Judy Buenoano, or all these other aliases. When I really think about her, she was greedy. She was extremely greedy. She just wanted to abuse the system and take advantage of every man that came into her life. But the fact that you not only poison your son and cripple him, but you intentionally drown him in a lake is just unbelievable. It's ridiculous. Like, your own son, because you were ashamed that he was out of wedlock. Like, what? This whole case just, you know what I mean? It just leaves a bad taste in your mouth when you think about it and you talk about it. But that's the story of Judy Buenoano. If you enjoy this story, leave a like. Hit that subscribe button if you're new to the channel. I appreciate all the support on this channel as well. But thank you. Please be safe. Have a great day and stay on the grind. I'm out. Peace.